something with flashing lights imitating our aircraft, I'd have to say that they're alien to this planet.
I would have to agree with you there. I've seen the exact same thing. And like you said, I mean, we're getting videos from all over the world showing similar things, even without seeing your videos ahead of time. So, well, and you told me too, we were talking a little bit before this, but you told me about the adventure that you guys took off into the woods, trying to actually see aliens. And I haven't seen this video yet. I've had some similar experiences, but why don't you tell us about that? What was that? You said late October that happened?
Yeah, I narrowed it down to the activity being coming from this particular patch of the woods that lines a unfinished back nine golf course of a private golf course, actually belonging to a plan. It's had a lot of financial problems, so it's always in bankruptcy and stuff, so they never finished the back nine.
Them and everybody else lately, right?
Yeah, it's a private place. There's hunters in there, around hunting season, but besides that, there isn't many people go and play around there. I don't see kids building shacks in there or anything, But, I just would notice that they all seem to be coming from, a general location. And I even called the little airport. There's a little private airport over there. It's got a real big name, Greensburg-Jeanette Regional Airport. It's a little trailer. And it only has two Cessnas in there. One is by the owner and one's the manager's Cessna. And there's a life flight helicopter. It sits there 24/7. And they have a little trailer they sit in and wait for calls. So I called this manager. I'm like, how many planes do you have leaving out of there? I mean, I counted like 14 of them within like an hour and a half. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And they're all these quiet, silent flashing things, and they're moving really slow. So I'm wondering what the heck's going on. The guy didn't know anything about it. He said, well, I don't know where they're coming from because they're not coming from here. And I even went there later on and even interviewed the pilots, some of the pilots of the life flight helicopter. And I'm like, we don't get any aircraft coming out of here at night. I can count on one hand how many left here at night in at least 5 years.
Right.
So, it sparked my curiosity where the heck these are coming from. I had a guy, when I saw one of these silent ones, actually, I don't even remember the day, it was sometime this summer, these silent ones, I decided to take the zoom on the camera and zoom in and try to see what the heck they were because, they weren't lit up, but there was no shape, just the lights.
Right.
And the lights, when I looked them up, they didn't flash right. FAA requires both wingtips on an aircraft. They have to have a steady red light and a green light on the wingtips that never go out. They have to have white wingtip strobes that strobe a minimum of 40 times per minute. These things didn't do that.
Right.
Sometimes there was no navigation red-green lights on them at all. They went dark in between flashes if they had two flashes on either side. Or they had only one white wingtip light would flash. And besides being silent, that's kind of a big giveaway. I don't know if any, and the speed just seems to be too damn slow. Even a Cessna has to go about 70 miles an hour to stay in the air. So nothing was making sense. So I started zooming in and I'd record them, and try to blow up what they look like in between flashes. And there was like some that looked like they had a hook on the bottom. And I'm like, I'm looking at airplane pictures, wondering what a hook would be on a plane for. Is it to kind of carry banners or something? And while I did this, one retrieved a white orb into it. And I was like, that is not a plane. So it was around the time that happened that I got somebody contact me on YouTube that lived nearby in Irwin, which is only, maybe 4 miles drive from here. And he'd been recording something and he couldn't get it off a tape onto YouTube digitally. And he wanted to know how to do that. And he'd been recording this star-looking thing that came out around dusk that only showed up for about 15 minutes. And it would shrink down and get all misty and then pop out objects. And it would take about, 5 minutes or something for all these objects to drop out, sometimes like 7 or 8 of them. And then it would disappear. And when he looked on, the satellite maps to see where it was pretty much over my area here. So, things clicked. And I said, well, maybe that's where all these little fakers come from. But, just one thing after another. I didn't connect the orange ones to these fake plane things, until I think the beginning of September. I kept seeing, starting at the top of the trees, a little ball of light would be up there. Now, the normal thing is to assume that it's something approaching from far away. So I thought I'd try to get on the other side of it after 2 nights in a row of 14, 15 things of these coming up. And, that's when I I drove up, glanced over, and a couple 100 feet away from me was that swirling orange plasma ball thing. And, as it started moving across the golf course, heading towards my house direction, I tried to go after it in the car. I ended up on the golf cart path, which I hope I didn't mess it up too bad with my 4-wheel drive. That overlooks, the golf course. And while I'm up there, I could see it. It's still traveling in the same direction, like it's going towards my house. But, it's hovering there for a little bit, and then that light shrinks down, and it's replaced with the flashing fake plane lights and changes directions completely and travels past me in the opposite direction that it had been traveling at. It had what looks like a tail of a plane on it. And when you blow up the flashes, the tail doesn't quite look right, and it bends and has spiky sticking out of it. And, but to everybody else, they would think it was some kind of silent plane. And that was it. That was the icing on the cake. I'm like,
we got something, huh?
These orange UFOs that the reports are all over the world are these same things. They're both the same. Orange ones can do this if they want.
Absolutely, and I've seen the exact same thing, and they change from one to another. And I even caught one that was a continuous shot too, as I've seen you got a couple too, where it turns from the big orange ball to a plane, and then it went into all sorts of white little flashing dots and things like that too. And it's like you said, certainly not a normal airplane.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the process is. I'm not sure if that's a traveling gateway, vortex, wormhole, something or other, if it's an interdimensional doorway thing. The Skinwalker Ranch out in, where is that, Utah?
I think it's in Utah, yeah.
Yeah, they described seeing a mini sun. Somebody actually saw a craft come out of there, and then the light collapses. Huh. So when we see the orange things and they're big and then they collapse and then all of a sudden you see fake plane lights, maybe that's what we're seeing in actuality. I'm not sure.
That very well could be. I know I caught one that seemed, from the distance I was at, it was floating over a city is what it was doing, but it looked almost 60 feet wide and just a big ball of light. And yeah, I don't know if it's interdimensional either, or if they can just actually morph in this dimension from that to something that appears to be a plane, or I'm not quite sure what the deal is there.
Yeah, because they said they even saw what looked like a being crawling out of one.
Huh.
So, that could be it. I'm really not sure.
Well, and like I said, you were telling me before about you guys had a little adventure with them on the ground. I can't believe I hadn't even seen this video yet. But yeah, why don't you tell me about that when you guys saw them back in the trees and took a camera along? Yeah, well,
we decided to go there, and I was contacted by a constable up in Butler County after he saw some UFOs, so he found my stuff, and when he found out it was that close, asked me if he could come and go after them. And on the 13th, I think it was because of the 13th of October, when I went over there and I could see something sitting in the woods, and it scared the crap out of me.